All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're stepping back over 3 millennia today to look at what is, literally, history's ultimate unsolved cold case. We aren't just talking about an ancient pharaoh here. We're tracking a mystery that spans all the way from the sands of ancient Egypt to the cutting-edge forensic labs of today. So get ready, because the saga of King Tutankhamun is packed with glittering gold, some pretty shocking twists, and a decades-long search for the truth.
And that brings us to the central question of our whole investigation. What really happened to King Tut? It's the million-dollar question, right? When King Tut was finally taken from his resting place in the Valley of the Kings, the sky was completely filled with these dark, ghostly clouds, veiling the stars in casket gray, while angry winds stirred up dust devils. It was an incredibly ominous atmosphere for a mystery that has captivated the entire world. How did this young ruler actually meet his end over 3,300 years ago? Was it a tragic accident, a hidden disease, or maybe something far more sinister?
But before we can investigate his death, we've got to meet our victim. Enter King Tutankhamun, or as most of us know him, King Tut. He was the last heir of a massively powerful family that ruled Egypt and its empire for centuries. He ascended the throne as a young boy, ruled this incredibly wealthy empire for about 9 years, and then he just died unexpectedly in his late teens. And when he was laid to rest, he was laden with fabulous wealth. We're talking glittering gold objects, jewelry, a solid gold inner coffin, and of course, that famous golden burial mask. His shockingly early death is the catalyst for everything we're about to explore. So here is our case file index for the investigation. 1. The ultimate cold case. 2. Carter's controversial extraction. 3. The wacky family tree. 4. CSI Egypt, the CT scan. 5. Murder, accident, or disease. And 6. Science meets the afterlife. Starting us off with Section 1, the ultimate cold case.
Now, this timeline is absolutely crucial because it perfectly anchors our whole story, and it shows a fascinating evolution in how we actually study history. We start way back around 1322 BC with the ancient burial and physical preservation of his body. Fast forward thousands of years to 1922 when Howard Carter makes his famous discovery, which, let's be honest, was largely about physical treasure hunting. Then, we see the shift into actual scientific investigation with the 1968 X-ray, and finally, the digital imaging of the 2005 CT scan. History isn't just static, you know. It actually evolves as our technology evolves.
Moving right along to Section 2, Carter's controversial extraction.
If you were to look at this crime scene by today's standards, you'd probably call it completely botched police work. And that's largely due to a massive clash between ancient practices and 1920s archaeology. See, during the ancient burial, these ritual funerary resins were poured all over the body. Well, over 3,000 years, those resins hardened, completely cementing Tut's mummified body to the bottom of his solid gold coffin. Carter literally wrote that no amount of legitimate force could move them. So this deeply ancient religious practice suddenly turned into a massive modern archaeological problem.
So what on earth did Carter do? Well, first, he tried setting the mummy outside in the blazing Egyptian sun, heating it to 149 degrees Fahrenheit to try and melt the resin. When that completely failed, Carter and his team resorted to brute force. They literally chiseled beneath the mummy to separate it from the gold base. To remove the fabulous adornments, the collars, the amulets, Carter's men actually severed the mummy's head and cut nearly every major joint before just reassembling the remains in a wooden box on a layer of sand to hide the damage. Now, Carter defended his actions. He said that if he hadn't cut the mummy free, thieves would have outwitted the guards and ripped it apart for the gold anyway. But looking back, it forces us to really question how far scientists should go and how much force is actually justified when we're investigating human remains.
That brings us to Section 3, the wacky family tree.
To really understand a victim, you have to understand their background and the incredibly chaotic royal lineage they inherited. Before Tut even took the throne, Egypt was ruled by Amenhotep IV, who succeeded Tut's powerful father or grandfather. This new pharaoh initiated one of the strangest, most horrific periods in all of ancient Egyptian history. Ray Johnson, the director of the University of Chicago's Research Center in Luxor, put it perfectly. He noted that the family had ruled for centuries, and then this ruler simply went a little wacky.
So just how wacky was it? Here's a quick breakdown of his radical reign. The new pharaoh changed his name to Akhenaten, which means servant of the Aten. He completely shocked the country by aggressively discouraging the worship of Amun, a major god. We're talking smashing his idols and closing his temples. Instead, he forced everyone to worship Aten, the sun disk.
And to top it all off, he moved the entire religious capital from the ancient city of Thebes to a brand new city known today as Amarna. It was an absolute upheaval of Egyptian society.
Okay, so after a mysterious ruler named Smenkhkare briefly appeared and then vanished without a trace, a very young boy named Tutankhamun took the throne. Young Tut had to step in and fix his family's mess. He promptly changed his name to Tutankhamun, meaning the living image of Amun, and oversaw a massive restoration of the old religious ways and the old gods. He reigned for about 9 years, bringing order back to the empire right before he died unexpectedly.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, CSI Egypt, the CT scan.
Fast forward to January 5, 2005, where modern medical technology completely takes over. And the crucial point here is this staggering number, 1,700. As part of the Egyptian Mummy Project, a portable CT scanner, donated by the National Geographic Society and Siemens, scanned King Tut's mummy from head to toe. It created 1,700 digital X-ray images in cross-section. Tut's head was scanned in ultra-precise 0.62 millimeter slices to register its intricate structures. They basically created an incredibly detailed, three-dimensional virtual body.
But, even a $1 million piece of modern technology isn't immune to the desert. During the scan, they hit a bit of a snag. Swirling desert sand actually got into a cooler fan, and the $1 million scanner just quit working. One of the guards even nervously joked that it was the curse of the pharaoh, death or misfortune falling upon those who disturb his rest. Thankfully, though, substitute white plastic fans saved the day, and the incredibly detailed scanning procedure was finished successfully in under 3 hours.
Section 5, Murder, Accident, or Disease.
So with the data secured, the specialists started debating the results. And the mysteries had really already begun to multiply back in 1968. More than 40 years after Carter's brutal extraction, an anatomy professor x-rayed the mummy and dropped a bombshell. Beneath the hardened resin on Tut's chest, his breastbone and front ribs were completely missing. This fueled massive speculation. Was it murder, a deliberate blow to the head? Well, modern CT scan theories expanded the whole investigation. Could those missing ribs actually point to a devastating chariot accident? Or, because ancient Egyptian royals often practiced intermarriage to preserve the bloodline, did Tut suffer from severe physical abnormalities, weakened health, or genetic diseases?
Now, those 2005 CT scans mapped Tut's body perfectly. They captured neck vertebrae as clearly as an anatomy class. Yet, the ultimate cause of his death remains a mystery. And that just proves a really important point. History isn't static. New technologies give us new data, but sometimes science simply eliminates the impossible without handing us a neat, definitive answer. The investigation is still ongoing.
Finally, Section 6, Science Meets the Afterlife.
Let's bring this explainer to a close. After those incredible digital scans were completed, and Zahi Hawass, the Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, could finally breathe a massive sigh of relief, Tut was returned to his tomb. He was placed back in the exact spot where funerary priests had laid him over 3,000 years ago. He rests in peace, watched over by the constellation Orion, which ancient Egyptians associated with the legend of Osiris, the god of the afterlife.
So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. We've seen the entire evolution from Carter's damaging chisels all the way to non-invasive digital imaging. But it really forces us to ask, does our modern thirst for scientific knowledge, our burning curiosity to solve the ultimate cold cases of history, justify repeatedly disturbing the dead? How do we balance scientific intervention with true respect for ancient funerary practices? It's a fascinating question to ponder as the saga of King Tutankhamun continues to unfold. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the past.